So I just wanted to add that because we get so stuck in our mind thinking that it's about us. It's not about you, baby. It is not about you when you get rejected. You just happen to not be what that person or company or client was looking for in that moment. And it may not be a no forever. It may be a not right now. So what I started telling myself too is that not right now. It's a not right now. Okay. Maybe you'll never work with that person. Maybe you'll never, get a part in this play. The play's already done. They're not doing it again. Maybe, but I promise you, there are better things that will come along.
Let me tell you that I've had this dream since I was 13, watching MTV.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to Dreams Not Deferred. So, you got rejected. It hurts, doesn't it? Look, I get rejected multiple times a day. A lot during the week, actually more than 100 times a week. Okay, maybe not that much. Close to 100 times a week as a voice actress because we send in a lot of auditions, okay? Average booking ratio, a good booking ratio is between 40 and 50 auditions per one gig that you book. Okay, so on average, you audition 40 to 50 times if you're doing decently well in order to get one booking. Okay, so 40 to 50 no's before a yes. Okay, now with voice acting, on the casting sites, you can actually see, and I think probably for on camera acting as well, you can see if they've listened to your audition, if they've shortlisted it, which means they liked it, so they add it to their top 5, top 10, whatever they want to do. You can see. So you know if you really, really wanted a gig and you thought you were great for it and you auditioned, you can see that they listened to it, played it, and did nothing. So they moved on. They didn't like it, right? Or they just didn't think it was right. So, if you're sitting there looking at the stats, it can be a little heartbreaking. And I really wanted to make this video because anyone who is in any type of creative art, whether you are an actress, a singer, a photographer, an artist who paints and draws, a writer, or even if you're not any of those things and you're just one of my homies watching this and maybe you were rejected by a lover, by someone who you wanted to date, a friend uh, who you wanted to go into business with, a great idea you had that you brought to someone that you love and trust, and they said, nope, not into it. Rejection can hurt, and I want to say first and foremost, you are human. I am human, I think, as far as I know. It is completely normal and completely okay to feel sad, upset, emotional in any way when you're rejected. Perfectly normal, perfectly okay. I have cried several times after acting workshops where I really thought that I did a great job. I thought this was a perfect character for me. It's a character I wanted to play. I did the script for a casting director or a coach who I really respected, who I wanted to impress because A, I respect them, and B, they have some sort of connection to agencies. They're the right person to impress, right? They have the connections to where I want to be. And I got in, thought I did a great job, and they tore it apart, right? They hated the read, or maybe I got in there and was really nervous and didn't do my best. Either way, them tearing down my read, and I'm not talking about like saying like, you suck, you're terrible, get out, but just taking it apart, criticizing, right? Critiquing, that's what they're there to do. But I remember 3 separate occasions in the last year where this happened and I went to the bathroom and I cried. Not like ugly cry sobbing, but I cried. I was so disappointed. I was so frustrated. I was a little bit angry, a little bit bitter, right? And confused because I'm like, I thought I did great. Like, am I really that far off? I guess so, and that feeling is so frustrating and it makes you feel like giving up. It makes you feel like, you're so much further from your dream than you thought you were. So, first off, it's completely normal to feel that way. Do not get down on yourself if you're crying, or you're angry, or you're feeling defeated. It's okay, my friends. You're allowed to have those feelings. Cry it out, baby. Go punch something. Don't punch somebody. Don't punch a wall. Punch a punching bag. Do what you got to do. But I wanted to talk about rejection because I have just recently, in the last couple of months, I'd say, come to this place where it is starting to just roll off me completely, and I'm not bothered by it. And that's not because I am so strong or, a superwoman or some magical unicorn. I might be a magical unicorn, but anyways, it's just because I have changed my mindset around rejection. And so I wanted to share this with you because I really hope that this might help someone today. So, first off, this first point you've heard many times, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's worth repeating. And that is, it's not personal. Okay. Even if someone makes a comment that sounds really personal, like, you're too ugly to be a model for us. You're too fat. We don't want any fat models. That is not very nice, first of all. Don't need to be that harsh or cruel. And it sounds very personal. They're talking about your appearance. That's quite personal, right? But even with something like that, it is an opinion. It is not absolute truth. You can decide that it's truth. You can say, oh, I guess you're right. I'm 200 pounds and most of these models are 130 pounds. Or, you're right. I don't have the look that you're going for. I have too much acne and, whatever. You can tell yourself the story that, becomes your truth, but you can't say that it's fact because we all have our own opinions. So even in a very personal comment is simply opinion, right? And I wanted to put this perspective in your mind. Think of yourself as a casting director, as a person who is making the decision. Put yourself in their shoes. They have a job to do. Okay, now they don't need to be mean or cruel. Sometimes they're just like ridiculously aggressive. But either way, they have a job to do. Or in this case, you have a job to do because you're putting yourself in their shoes. You've been given this project, this movie, this script, whatever it is. You're in charge of making sure that the perfect person is chosen for this, or the company's going to get mad, right? The fans are going to get mad and say you ruined it because you picked the wrong person. Your job is pretty important, right? There's a lot of pressure on you. So you're just trying to do your best and you're listening to or being presented with so many options, boom, 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 back to back, back to back. You are overloaded with information and you're trying to make the best decision you can. Now, again, I'm not giving permission or I'm not condoning the ones that are unkind with their comments, but you're bombarded with all of this and you have to make this decision and you are just trying to do the best that you can with the information that you have. Okay. So when you think about it like that, that's what I've been doing lately is thinking about it from that perspective. And what changed this for me was taking a workshop with a casting director, a very popular casting director, Andrea Toyas, who is with Blizzard Entertainment, huge video game company. And she had us not only send in our own auditions and she critiqued our auditions, but she had us listen to about 20 different auditions that she had received for a previous video game project. And she said, I'm going to play these back to back and I want you to listen and then give me your feedback. She was playing them back to back and she's like, tell me what you hear. And a lot of us started to notice, like, oh, these all sound the same, right? They're not terrible, but they all sound the same. They all sound kind of like monotone or flat. They don't sound like they're really changing their inflection on their voice. These are like fantasy video games. So you would think, that people would really be dynamic, but they all kind of started sounding the same. And then there were a few of them that had audio issues or whatever, but mainly it was just that none of them were really, they were either boring or they were so over the top overacting that it was like awkward, right? And I'm sitting there listening back to back and she's like, I got 400 of these auditions that I had to listen through and narrow that down to 15. 400 1-minute long auditions. I don't even want to know how long that takes. But it just gave me the perspective that like she's going through these and just listening to the first 10 seconds and being like, nope, nope, Nope. Okay, put this in the shortlist pile. I like that. Maybe. Nope, nope, maybe. Nope, nope, maybe. Right? Very rarely is there like a, yes, this is the one. Forget all the others. But she is just listening to the first 10 seconds. So, what does that tell you? It doesn't say that all of these actors who she doesn't choose are terrible and she hates them and thinks that they suck and they should never try again. It means she's looking for a certain sound. She's looking for, or I should say, listening for something in particular for that project. Someone who gets the script, someone who understands it, takes it on and feels it, and someone who has a particular voice, right? A lot of times they don't know what they're looking for when they send out casting specs. A lot of times when someone hires a photographer, they don't really know what look they want. They just kind of go, well, I like these pictures, so something like this. And then they find out later, like, oh, well, I guess I don't really like this type of lighting. I guess I don't like this type of angle, right? But when you know, you know. And these professionals, they know what they're looking for or listening for. So just think about that when you are disappointed that you were rejected, and sometimes rejection is silence, right? So if you're in business and you send out pitches, you email, for me, emailing agencies, trying to get on agency rosters so I can get sent the big auditions, right? For anime and video games. Those are not on casting sites, not the major ones. Those come through agencies. So a lot of it's radio silence. You hear absolutely nothing back. 6 months go by and you're like, oh my gosh, I've sent so many emails. I'm not even getting a no. I'm just not getting anything, right? Just put yourself in their shoes for a minute and think about what they may be dealing with, okay? So that's number one. Okay, don't take it personal. And I'm going to take this a step further. I want you, if you're really feeling hurt because you put your heart and soul, you wanted this role so bad, or you wanted this gig or this client or whatever it is, or maybe it's a relationship. You really like this girl or this guy, this, individual, and they just don't like you back. And it hurts, and I get it. But I want you to think about your preferences. Your personal preferences, okay? What kind of food you like? What kind of shows you like? What kind of books you like? What kind of partner you would like, right? So if you're, in the dating world, what do you like in a person? I want you to think about that for a minute. And I want you to think about the people around you, your friends, your family members. What do they like? Do they match? Everything you like is what your friends and family like? Is it all the same? You and your sister and your mom all think the same guys are attractive or girls are attractive. Everyone agrees with each other on what the best restaurant is in your town. No, you all have different opinions, my friend. You yourself have preferences, and I would think and I would hope that it's not out of malice that if I say, I think the most beautiful woman in the world personally, there's two. I have two girls that I'm like, oh my gosh, not that I don't love myself and I want to be someone else, but if you're like, oh, if you could trade bodies with any woman, who would it be? Eva Mendes, oh my gosh, gorgeous. Angelina Jolie, right? I mean, again, I don't want to trade my body for anyone because I love the way I look. I'm finally happy with myself after 33 years. I don't even know how old I am. But, if you ask me who I just am like struck by and think is so pretty, those are two women that come to mind, right? I'm not going to say men because I am married and, I don't want to go into what men I find attractive because even though my husband's not going to watch this, to me, I'm trying to be respectful. But anyways, think about that. Now, am I saying, I'll give you a perfect example that's closer to home. I don't love long hair on men, okay? My stepdad has long hair. He's got a braid. It looks great on him. He looks like a Viking, right? He's a handsome looking dude. So now, does it mean that because I don't like long hair on men that I think that men with long hair are hideous and ugly and I hate them? No, right? Do long haired men need to be offended now because I don't like long hair on men? No, they don't take it personal, right? They don't take it personal. My stepdad's not like, wow, okay, now I know what you think of me. You think I'm hideous? No, I just said he's a handsome man. It's just, if my husband asked me, honestly, if I would like him growing out his hair, I would say, no, I don't. I like your hair how it is. Please don't grow it out. I'm not going to leave him if he does, right? But it's not personal. So I just wanted to add that because we get so stuck in our mind thinking that It's about us. It's not about you, baby. It is not about you when you get rejected. You just happen to not be what that person or company or client was looking for in that moment. And it may not be a no forever. It may be a not right now. So, what I started telling myself too is that not right now. It's a not right now. Okay. Maybe you'll never work with that person. Maybe you'll never, get a part in this play. The play's already done. They're not doing it again. Maybe. But I promise you, there are better things that will come along. So that leads into my next point. Whenever something comes up that I get rejected for, which again, I get rejected every day as a voice actress. I get auditions listened to and never hear back. Occasionally I'll actually get a client say, "Hey, thanks for auditioning. We thought you were great, just really not good for this particular project. We'll keep you in mind." And I kind of appreciate that because it's kind of nicer than just hearing nothing. But anyways, when it comes to this whole rejection thing, the way that I look at it now is something better is on the way. Okay? This is leaving room for something better. Or the other side of this is, ooh, great, an opportunity for me to grow in some way. One of the two. Either something better is coming, or this is a great opportunity for me to grow. Now, as self-lovey-dovey as I have been about this, I do still, of course, believe and know that there are times where you do need to improve a skill. You do need to get better. And again, it's not personal. It's not because you suck and you're a terrible person. It's just because, maybe this person's been acting or singing for 10 years and is more advanced in their skill, more practiced, and you're not, right? It's nothing to be ashamed of. And again, I understand feeling hurt. I've been there. It happens every once in a while still here and there where I'm like, "Oh man, I really wanted that gig. That sucks." Try being in music for almost 2 decades and still having 50 plays on your songs. 50, not even 100, some less than 50. Okay, I've been doing music for about 2 decades, my friends, technically, in terms of when I started writing my first songs. So, talk about rejection. It's not people saying my music is terrible, it's people aren't even willing to push play, okay? And that's a whole other thing. That's something that I'm working through in terms of what my stories are about my music and all of that. Obviously, there's a lot of mental stuff in the way, of that growing. So I'm working through that right now, but I have been there, okay? Sometimes it is that you need to improve a skill. So, what a beautiful opportunity for you to say, let's evaluate this. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm sad about it. That's okay. Now, do I think that maybe there's something that I can improve on? Did they give you any feedback? Did you get any criticism or critique? You don't always have to take in what they say and agree with it. Sometimes it really is just an opinion of a casting director who is in a hurry, in a rush, or they just have a vision of what they think is perfect for this part, this play, whatever, and they cannot get it out of their head. And so if they don't hear that exact sound or see that exact person, then it's a no, right? Sometimes they're wrong. Okay? Simon Cowell is a great example. If you ever watched American Idol, do you know how many people he said no to? Oh my gosh, who was it? Was it Kelly Clarkson? Was one of them? I can't remember if it was Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood. I know Jennifer Hudson he said no to, or he really criticized. There were quite a few that he said, and one of the other coaches said yes to, or two of them, so they got through, and then they ended up becoming superstars, right? Lady Gaga was dropped from her first record deal. Katy Perry was dropped from her first record deal. Several others. Imagine getting the record deal of your dreams, right? You want to be a singer, you want to be Beyonce, you finally get that record deal and you're like, "Oh my god, my dreams are coming true." And you're so excited and then you get dropped. They say, "We've changed our mind. We're going to drop you now." Talk about rejection. Can you imagine that? The heartbreak, the horror, right? It happens to everybody. Everyone gets rejected at some point. Anyways, I'm starting to ramble now, so let me get back to my point. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they give you a note, or maybe they don't give you a note, but it becomes clear when you see the person that did get the part, the person that did, get the record deal, whatever it is, or the person that, you shot your shot at somebody that you had a crush on and they said no to you and then they end up dating someone else and you're like, really? That guy? That girl? But it's a chance for you to see like, okay, that was what they were looking for. Let me analyze that now. So you didn't get the part, someone else did. Did they give you criticism? If they did, cool. Take it in and say, how does that feel to me? I'm not talking about does it hurt to be criticized? I'm talking about how does it feel? Does it feel like truth? Or does it feel like I don't agree with that at all? This person is tripping, so I'm going to just let that one roll off. You have to decide. You're the only one that can decide that for yourself. If you decide that their criticism is valid, then you have something to work on. You have something to hire a coach for, to take classes for, to practice and practice until you perfect, right? That's such a beautiful thing. When you have an opportunity to grow, on the other side of it, you come out stronger, more skilled, more talented than you were before, right? That's amazing. If you had not been rejected, you would have never taken the time to work on that skill, to take in that critique and flip it, right? To use it as fuel and motivation to grow. So it is such a good opportunity for growth when you're rejected. Okay? So if the criticism is valid, if you got the critique and you see that the person that was chosen for what you were going for has more skill than you, is more advanced than you, what an opportunity for growth. On the other hand, if you don't agree with the criticism, if it's politics, this is another good point. If rejection is because of politics and unfairness, that hurts even more, right? Because it's like, man, I poured my heart and soul out, and it's not even because I wasn't as good as this person. It's because they know the director. Their mama is on the PTA, right? They kind of have nepotism going on. Like they've got the hookup, the connection. That happens a lot too. You see it. You see the politicking. And yes, it feels unfair and frustrating, and you can absolutely be angry about it. You have the right to feel some type of way, honor your emotions, allow yourself to be upset. That is perfectly fine. You are a human, I suppose. But that is another great opportunity. Another great opportunity to say, oof, well, there's something better out there for me because why would I want to work on a project where there's politics? Why would I want to work in an environment or with a client who picks people based off of favorites or based off of just their looks instead of their talent? I don't want to be involved in that. No shade, no disrespect. I've seen that. I've seen projects where it was politics. People were, singers especially, were chosen because of their looks. They had a particular look that someone wanted. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I've seen singers and rappers who were god-awful, in my opinion, right? And that's just my opinion. Again, not trying to be mean, but they weren't even singing in the right key, right? Their rapping was terrible. And they got chosen because they're really attractive or they're really popular and they've got the hookup. And that equals dollar signs. When different people who are in positions of power see that this person has 1 billion followers, right? And they're super popular, or their mom, their dad is connected to this person, they see money. Quick, easy money, right? They don't see longevity. They don't see like, wow, this person is amazing. They're going to have a long career. This is a good investment, us working with them. But they see a quick dollar. It happens with rappers all the time. And it's so, so sad because so many probably kind-hearted men and women who get on TikTok and blow up, right? Because they have a song that is just really fun or everyone loves to dance to. They get signed to this huge record deal. It's like, a ridiculous, like $2 million record deal, which like doesn't happen anymore. Because of this one song, what happens is all of this money is made from this song, but there's nothing to follow up with that song. If they cannot produce a bunch of other really fun, cool dance songs right after that one, guess what happens? The record label goes, well, You're dried up now. We're going to throw you away. And you don't get out of the contract unless they just drop you from the label. What usually happens is they shelf you. So they don't drop you from the contract, meaning you cannot go over and sign with another record label. You're stuck. You can't go make music with anyone else, but they're also not promoting you and not helping you with your next album. So you just basically dry up and everyone forgets about you. And you don't get any more money after that. In fact, if you don't make enough money in your record sales, you have to actually pay them back. They are waiting to recoup the funds, the $2 million that they gave you. That has to be recouped before you're paid, right? Well, technically you've already been paid, but you have to pay them back if the money is not made. So $2 million record deal, put out a song, go on a tour, all of the funds coming in from the tour, like Taylor Swift concert, how much is it? Let's say it's $1,000, $500, whatever. All of that money coming in, that's being paid to the record label first until you've hit that $2 million mark. Then you get profit. If you don't hit that $2 million, you owe them money. So now you're broke. Anyways, long tirade, but I wanted to share that example because it happens so much and it breaks my heart. That's why I think God protected me. In my opinion, I know not everybody believes in God and all that, so it's totally fine if you don't. But for me, my belief is that I was protected from that because I wanted it. I wanted the record deal. I wanted to be famous, man. I wanted to be Beyonce. And I tell this story all the time. In the last 4 years, I've realized, oh my God, I don't want that. What was I thinking? That's not what's in my heart at all. What's always been in my heart was being a creator, being paid to be a creator who got to do whatever the heck I wanted and create in the studio all day long. My joy is in writing music, writing songs, doing voice acting, being a creator. And yes, I want the accolades and I want to be, I want to be on the screen one day. Right now, I'm sticking to voice acting, but I'd like to do some modeling. I'd like my songs to be on the Billboard charts. Okay. So it's not that I don't want accolades. I will be the first to admit that I love getting the acknowledgement because for me, it feels like, validation of like other people appreciate what I do. Nothing wrong with that, baby. Anyways, I just really wanted to drive home the point that rejection is something that absolutely it can hurt and it's totally understandable to be disappointed, to feel, hurt at times from it, but don't let it bring you down. Don't let it control you. Don't take it personal. Use it as a tool. Okay, use it as a tool to grow and move forward. Oh, I remember what I was going to say now before I went on that long tirade about record labels. When you do find yourself in those positions again where it's about politics, it has nothing to do with your talent. There's not you needing to grow in that situation or scenario. It is 100% unfair. Like I said, cool, that's a situation that I don't want to be in anyways. So there must be something better. But what I wanted to add to it was it's a beautiful chance for clarity. It's a beautiful chance for you to look at, okay, I'm coming up against these situations where there's a lot of unfairness. So what can I focus on that will help me move towards the better scenarios, right? Am I looking to try and become a part of this theater company or submit my songs to people who maybe don't have the best practices in terms of being kind, honest people? Again, this is not to judge anybody, and it is not a chance for you to be like, poor me, I'm a victim, and these people are just politicking and it's unfair. No, we don't do that, baby. Self-love to the max, but we do not sit there and shut down and whine. What we do is we say, I don't like that. What do I want instead? And let's flip the direction towards a company that really appreciates talent, directors who really appreciate talent, music producers, art connoisseurs and critics who really appreciate talent and artistry. Instead of focusing on crying over spilled milk about how it was unfair that you didn't get this job, this booking, whatever, focus on, ooh, what's better out there for me? That means something must be even better than this. waiting for me? Dang, baby. That's pretty good. So, yeah, that's all I got to say on that, my friends. I love you all, and we'll talk again next week. Happy auditioning and pitching and whatever else you do. And we're going to be launching our creator community for fellow autistic folks very soon. So stay tuned.